It kind of starts way before any specific brief with actually having a good relationship with the client. So I think that we both work on KFC, and the thing that is great about that is that the clients are they trust us and we trust them, and we can have these open conversations about things, and they can say, this feels a bit risky, and we can say, it feels really exciting.
Yeah.
And then we can sort of trust each other to have a chat about that, and no one's trying to make work for the sake of it. They're not trying to kill work for the sake of it. And then when it comes to selling in sort of specific ideas, I think a lot of it is just taking them on the journey with you, and rather than kind of ambushing them with, why don't you do this really out there thing, it's going to work, I promise, actually saying, we hear the problem and we've looked at these solutions, and actually we think the best way to do it is this for these reasons. And sometimes that means looking at, marketing wisdom and saying, having a point of view helps you stand out. Going for fame is more effective in the long run. So we need to take a risk in order to do that. Other times it will be a case of sort of being really clear on the problem, because I think probably a good example of this is when we did the new fries launch for them, and they were really keen to talk about how great the new fries tasted, because they'd done all these sort of tests on them, and they were getting really good scores, so they were feeling really confident. And when they sort of tested them actually in some restaurants, they got really bad feedback and were sort of quite taken aback and understandably sort of a bit scared about that. And we sort of said to them, the problem isn't with the fries themselves. They've got these great test scores. There's something happening sort of with the audience when they're brought into a restaurant environment. And we kind of said to them, we think the problem here is actually sort of the idea of loss aversion, and that people don't want to give up something familiar and risk the new thing being worse. And it's this sort of old attachment to the thing that they know, even if it's not necessarily that great, because they were complaining about the old fries as well. They weren't sort of singing their praises, but they just didn't want to give them up. And so we suggested to them that the campaign actually needed to be, before it did any of the sort of celebratory stuff around the new product, it had to actively go out and go, the old one's rubbish, and then introduce this sort of, so we've improved it for you, and actually sort of create the circumstances in which people want something new. And I think that's a really scary thing to say to a client, to be like, spend all your advertising money on telling people that your product is trash. So that was a fun presentation. But I think thinking about that actual sort of behavioural science that sat behind it was really useful for us to get to the answer, but also to help them understand it and feel confident in it as well.